I mean, we reached out because we have this podcast, 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. And that started, the planning phase started about 10 years into recovery. And I was doing a form of exposure therapy. And I just learned how dangerous exposure therapy can be. It's not always dangerous, but it can be dangerous. And it led me to my first near death by my own hands, by suicide. I progressed into the planning phase and practicing phase while my wife was away one Friday night. My business was going well. My master's degree was being completed. Marriage was great, active in my church. All the things were good, and the obsession took over. And so, I did all the tools. I used all the tools that I had learned over the years to make sure that I made it through that incident without having to go to the hospital, without having to be put in a psych ward or anything like that. And I did that because I told my wife, I told my pastor, I told those around me what happened. It took a couple of days because I was so ashamed. I was like, I'm so far into recovery, like this shouldn't be a thing. And then I started sharing it at various meetings of like, hey, this just happened. And other people were like, yeah, like I was 7 years sober when that happened. And it's just like, oh, these things, our obsessive minds, like still are what they are. Things still do get hard, but that was the catalyst to us launching 1 Mile, 1 Veteran. And as we were doing it, I was working a full-time job, and I ended up within 2 years being hospitalized for shingles in my ear, also known as Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It's what Justin Bieber had apparently at the same time. And it can lead to paralysis of the face and permanent hearing loss. And so I had a decision to make, keep the job or do the podcast. And we decided the podcast was more important because it will save lives. The simple act of walking for 20 minutes, walking away in a difficult situation is kind of what we encourage people to do, is like, just get out of bed and go for a walk today if that's the only thing you do today. Because, we want to expose people to sunlight. We want them to hear the positive stories of veterans that are just like them. And as we were doing it, I guess the stress was getting to me again because we were selling our home and going on the road so that we could afford to do the podcast full time. Because living in Hawaii is expensive. And so we sold the home. We were just like, okay, we can do this for 2 years on the road as long as we budget well. And within the first 6 months, like I had put on another 40 pounds. I was like extremely obese, and I wasn't able to run, and it was like very, very uncomfortable. I was like, man, I'm not doing the basics of what I ask people to do. I'm not doing incremental steps. So like, let me commit to just walking a mile a day as well. Like, this is what I'm asking people to do. Let me start doing it. And it started to build upon itself. The mile a day became 2 miles. It became, all right, I'm going to jog one of these miles. And then it became, oh, well, I'm talking to guests about like proper nutrition and how to care for ourselves. So let me adjust my diet. And, within 9 months, like I'm still going through it. Like you said, like I'm still seeing the results. I've lost nearly 60 pounds. My labs are looking healthy. I have more energy. I'm back in my community. I'm working another full-time job while we still host this, and I'm able to fully support my wife while she produces the podcast full-time. And super grateful for her to leave her television job to do this.
Oh, she had a television job, huh?
Yeah. She worked for a local television station, produced a few shows, and she was
why she cannot do the podcast and not. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I stole her away the same year she was nominated for her first regional Emmy.
Oh my goodness!
I was like, here we go, hon. And she was like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
Nice.